Hey guys, it's me, Tiana Jones, also known as Cali Fae. I already have not one, not two, but three special guests from the past. But now I got another special guest. This guest is super hot, a producer that makes it just worth your while. You know why? Because he's from H-Town. Everybody knows what it's like. So come on and bring yourself on board. Let them know who you are.
My name is Derek Rhodes. I'm from Houston, Texas. I represent Black Label Music. Um, I've been recording and producing for probably about 23 years now. So,
Wow, that's a
yeah,
long time.
yeah.
Congratulations. If you haven't been doing it that long, you're not going to know all the tricks, guys. You're not going to know all
Mhm.
the tips.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing it for a little while. I recently just dropped an album. As a matter of fact, I know that we didn't really go over that, but I did put out an album called Morning to Midnight. Um, It came out on March 29th. We actually just shot our first video because in the meantime, since I've been working, I've also been working with some of my clients too, like Craig G, De Niro Sinatra, the guys on my label. Been recently working with a guy named Quiet Money Dot, kind of closely, not real closely, but I've been sending them a lot of tracks. We got some things coming up.
Amazing. Congratulations to everybody tuning in. That's CNM. Make sure you guys go follow. Also, congratulations to the team. You have an amazing team of people you're working with. That's amazing that they wanted to tune in here too. I know they're watching. Guys, there's a lot going on. So if you don't know, now you know. This is going to be a producer that is extending himself for you guys to get to know him. That's why he's here. He's showing his face. He wants you to know that you can trust him. You can trust him to jump on board, to do a little music for you. And guess what? You know where to find him in H Town. So we ain't gonna go too far, right? All
Right.
right. So tell him what kind of music have you produced?
Well, more recently, I've been working on just a lot of rap. A lot of the rap that I've been doing here, like most recently, is probably music that's more culturally appropriate to the sound. We might call it slab music. It's music really derived, you know, um, and we got regions of the United States where we're specifically known for our cars. Like California's known for the lowriders, Florida's known for the donks, and in Houston we're known for our slabs. So, but the thing that's crazy out here in Houston is we have a mixture of all three because we have a strong Chicano culture with they do the lowriders. You got my car that I have now. It's not a dump, but it's got some 20s on. And then the guys out here that from the south side and certain parts of the north side, they put cars together, the old school cars, and they call them slabs. Make sure that they got the 83s, the 84s, the G26s, the tires from Texas Wire Wheels. So really, my music that I produce is specifically for people that ride, people that get in their car and go to work every day, or people that just like to, it's going to take 15, 20 minutes to go grab something to eat. May as well be comfortable and look good.
Amazing. What's your favorite track that you like to listen to when you're riding out?
I don't really have one specific song. I do have like artists that I like. So I like Bone Thugs. When I was coming back from Brian last night, I was listening to some UGK. I listened to some DJ Screw 3 in the morning on the way out there to Brian. So yeah, but Bone Thugs and Harmony is my favorite ever.
We love them too. Shout out to Crazy Bone. Shout out to Sloan Bone.
Yeah,
Everybody that's
absolutely.
shout out to everybody listening. Okay, guys. So everybody tuning in, please go ahead, make a comment, do a like, do a share button. If we're streaming this live on social media, but then we're gonna go ahead and stream this another way as well. So YouTube, we want you guys to give us the stars. We want you guys to subscribe to us so that you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. So click that link on the bottom right there, Cali Fae. I'm bringing you guys the real gems of the cities, right? So the underground people that have the gifts of producing and bringing artists to the table where maybe they don't have that development without a producer. Maybe they don't have some support, you know what I'm saying, until he steps in, or other producers may say, hey, let's collaborate as a group. So, I'm pretty proud of being on this interview with you. Thank you so much again. And I just want to, touch base on what are your upcoming goals?
Well, really, my goals are to just crank out as much music as I can to try to get as many, you know, I'll try to sharpen my sword. So, try to get as many quality placements as I can, try to continue to record people, buying new things for the studio, making sure that the studio, when people come and they're having the best experience with me when they get in there, it's more than just hitting the button. You got to be able to even just communicate with the artist wants. Sometimes they don't know what they want, so you have to be able to do that. So just being a better communicator and being a good, just being a good engineer, being a good producer. Sometimes the hats don't fit the same. Sometimes I'm in there just recording. Other times I have to, take on more of a role as a producer.
Of course, and that happens when you're gifted. So you have a beautiful ability about yourself being able to communicate with different people because, that's what makes a business run in this music industry. What can you say in the last, let's just say in the last 20 years what you've seen can really impact people that are viewing you right now? Just maybe, whatever you feel like can really just say, hey, I've been trying to tell you this a long time.
Well, just being consistent. Um, a lot of times, a lot of artists they're talented, but you have this thing called starving artists for a reason. Artists starve because they don't put the hard work in. A lot of the artists that I do know and I've seen become more successful, not because that they're better than other people. It's just because they do more than other folks. They're willing to take more risks. They're willing to have a little bit more audacity than the guy that just wants to just be known for his art. You have to have a little bit of everything. You have to have audacity, and you also have to have the talent as well. You have to be willing to be led and be taught. So that's another thing. You just have to. You got to work. You got to outwork the people around you.
Do you think that can be a good thing, or do you also think that people can turn into something that they, egotistic, or let the money get to them, let the fame get to them? Because once they get to that level, do you think that they don't care anymore about who they used to be because now that person died? You know what I'm saying? Can you say something about artists that grow from different levels that you've seen over the last 20 years?
Yeah, I've seen them go up. Some of them they go up very fast and they come down even faster. Sometimes when the person is coming up, they're doing well, and then they can kind of disappear. They'll have their old success, but they're never really able to duplicate the success, especially if they're not doing it on their own. They have to continue the work, and keep a good attitude. A lot of the times, the attitude is not good. So even if they are successful very fast on the way up, they come down crashing even harder. And then they're not able to really plant their feet again because they don't have a foundation. So it really it's an ego thing. So a lot of people struggle sometimes. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people try to go up fast. They're not happy with the results after they're not getting the same type of help. You know what I'm saying? So
How
yeah,
do
it's
you
unfortunate.
Yeah, that. How do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like that can change for people because it's mind over matter?
Um, the thing that I think what artists need to focus on, if I'm being honest, I think that they just need to focus on the actual work. When you talk to people, Make sure that you're looking at them, you're professional with them. And I'll give a good example about a guy named Quiet Money Dot. I call him the mayor. He treats everybody the same. He looks at everybody the same. He shows everybody the same amount of love if you go to him and talk to him. He he has a way, just a way of with people, and I believe that's a lot of the reason why he's successful, and that's why the city has taken a large a large liking to him. They have gravity towards him because he treats people with respect. I know you're gonna run into people that don't really respect the art, or they don't, or not even the art, they don't respect the people around them helping them with the art, because you don't get famous or popular just by being out here. You have to have a certain way with people. Sometimes the labels give you a little bit more push, or you have people that you can pay to like do the promotion for you. When you're doing it yourself and you looking at people in their eyes, you know, that goes a lot further than just having promoters and people basically being bribed to like you. You have to get out here and really just you gotta kiss hands and shake hands and kiss babies. And some people are better at it than others.
Now, as an artist, as an independent artist, as a publishing company owner, I want you to know, I'm independent. I have my own catalog, but you don't got to kiss no babies. You just got to
Mm-mm,
be able to brand yourself correctly, package yourself directly, and build your team accordingly. Now, if
mm,
you're dealing with people that are looking for fast paced, fast money, they're looking for the wrong artist, right? Because
right.
they're looking for the people that are going to fall real quick and they can make it real happen real fast and kick them to the curb. We're looking for my publishing company, Cali Girl Books LLC. We look for a foundation of artists and producers and writers and film directors and everybody, right? So all lives do exist. We're looking for people like you know what I'm saying, that we can work with that want to also help other people. So
Hmm.
thank you for explaining all this because whoever's watching this may be a young man at home, young independent artist that might sign his whole life away. How would
Right.
you tell him to slow down without overstepping to where he feels like you're his daddy, his whoever, you know what I'm saying, trying to push him in a direction without kissing ass or bribery or because the producers they gotta relationship these calls, you feel me, they gotta bump them shoulders. But like me, I'm a woman, I don't have to have sex to get my deals, I don't have to exploit myself. It's the package and delivery of the gifts, of the obedience, right,
Hmm.
energy. So what kind of energy could you say in your behalf?
Well, if it's an artist like you were asking initially, you got to look at the artist, and you have to have tough conversations with the artist. You have to ask them like, what is it that you're needing? What can you do for yourself before you get out here and just start aligning yourself with people you don't know anything about? You have to ask those questions to yourself, because if you don't, you'll think that $100 is a lot of money, and it's not. It's every small amount, $10,000 is not a lot of money, So you gotta ask yourself what it is that you really need. Is you can make $10,000 in a year, doing your own thing. You can do it working. You can make 40 or $50,000 working if you go and get a job, and then you can just keep on cultivating your art. So, are you going to put yourself in a position where you're going to be locked in forever and you're not going to be able to cultivate your art for $10,000? No, you don't want to do that. So you got to make people think a little bit. I never try to just sign people to a deal or get them to sign themselves to a deal if it doesn't make sense. They have to make sense. Things got to align.
Beautiful, beautiful way to, beautiful way you put it. Now, in this time frame, are there any artists that you're working with now that have any upcoming projects you want to talk about?
A guy that I just that I we just finished a project called "Without Further Ado" by my guy Craig G. He actually just put his project out last week. It's actually doing well. I'm working on a project with my man De Niro Sinatra. I'm producing all the tracks. It's going to be an EP. We got a DJ. I'm not going to say the name yet because we ain't locked it in, but you know, it's somebody that's pretty popular, but we're still working on it. For myself, I'm putting out a deluxe for my album called Morning to Midnight. We got about 4 songs already done. We need to really we just need to get a couple of more verses, and that's it. I'm just working. I'm just trying to finish up my project, and then I'm gonna release that as soon as I get it done. It's really up to me now. I take my time though, because I work a regular job too. I sometimes on the weekends, like last night, I was out of town, so it'll take some time. But I think with the amount of time, I'm a perfectionist, so the more time I have, the better it'll be.
Amazing. Congratulations. Now, as a producer, are you also a rapper? We need to make sure we clarify this for everybody because they keep hearing this album. Did you used to have a little gift that you're not talking about? Because I always got to peek up on them producers, like, tell me something.
No, I'm not rapping on the album. I think I only have one speaking part on the whole album. I speak. The album is it's called Morning to Midnight. It's about the working person's weekend on Friday afternoon or Friday morning to Sunday night. You know what I mean? So I have one part where I'm doing a skit on this song called Sabrina's Interlude, but I'm not rapping. I do know how to rap. I think that any good producer should know how to rap, but I'm not rapping. It's just my production, and that's it. My recording, mixing, and my mastering.
Ooh, you said it. You said it. You said it. You changed the legend right here. You heard it. You changed the game for him because you said every producer should know how to rap.
They
Ding,
should.
ding, ding.
They should because you got to know how to tell the artist what pocket to be in. Sometimes the artist might over rap or they might put too many syllables in certain places. So you have to know how to have the artist break it down. And even when they're recording, they might only need to do 4 bars at a time so that they can get their breath right. You know what I mean? We can make it sound good in production. That's why they're recording artists. They need to know how to record. And that's something that goes missing in a lot of production.
Now that made me think something. As a producer, do you feel like some producers just want the money, so they're not gonna go in and like tell homie how to critique his song because they want him out in an hour. He's got that 2 minutes left, and he got his song being sent tomorrow. He got his $100. Do you think that's a problem with some producers? They're lazy and don't want to build a foundation rather than get that paycheck and just get that big money for that fast paced money.
I think a good artist will make a good producer want to stay in the studio. Because when you're building and when you're grinding, it actually there's energy that goes into it. Like when I work with Craig or when I'm working with De Niro, we spend a lot of time having conversations about the work. So it's not just okay, let me get him in there and get him out of there. There are people that are like that, but those artists have to bring the best out of the producer and vice versa. But you have to, if I have to convince you to want to be at the studio, then that means you don't really have a passion for being in there. And I try to make sure everybody's comfortable recording and being in the studio so we can bring the creativity to the sessions. I'm not the guy that just wants to get you out. Then it's more money in it for me to be in the studio. So why would I want you to leave? Spend your
Well,
money.
well, think about this in adversity, right? For producers, you get, young cats, you get trap, you get gospel, you get some producers, if they don't want to produce the light, why should they even do it? You know what I'm saying? Or if they're feeling like the fast paced gang banging money, trap, you know what I'm saying? What. So how do you, you know what I'm saying, give them the encouragement that you can produce anything and there's still some faith behind it. There's still some God behind it.
You got to know your client. You know, some of my clients, I know that they work, they get their money the honest way. So everybody is not going to have money to throw away like that. I've had those guys that have a lot of money, and I have a hard time with them trying to convince them, look, bro, you need to slow this down. But if you don't listen to me, if you don't want to take your time and develop, it's like I'll like not even take your money. Let's just figure out where you need to go because the money is gonna come. And if I put an equity into the project, then I'll see what's mine in the future. Whether you see it or somebody else sees it, if we put this thing out, people are gonna know who I am. I found myself a little bit more popular than some of the people that I work with. Every time I go somewhere now, I see somebody that I know, whether it be for production or, just being out and about. So I'll get what's coming to me. And then I work anyway. I'm not selling myself too short. I work, I have a job. But I'm just happen to be good at being an engineer and a producer.
Passionate. Y'all hear this. You know what it is. Cali Fae, Universal Revolutionary Healing. We're going to end this now. We don't want to give you no more juice until we get back on for our next interview, guys. Now, if you want to catch us, we will be going live now on YouTube and we will be live on IG and Facebook. All right, guys, you know what it is. Peace. Thank you for joining. God bless you all. Peace.